Okay, so in this video I'm going to be replacing the alternator, and I want to discuss how I know that the alternator went out. Usually when the alternator goes out, it's been my experience that the car just starts running off the battery and it leaves you stranded on the side of the road somewhere. But this is a little bit of a different case. The vehicle starts and the vehicle can run off the alternator. However, it doesn't send a charge back to the battery, and that's where the alternator has failed. And I know this because I went to the gas station last night. It started up fine. Then by the time I made it to the gas station, got gas, I barely got the car started. It kind of and it finally hit. And all the readings on the dashboard are accurate. It says I'm getting the correct amount of volts that I should be. So I'm getting a good reading on the dash, and that's kind of the weird thing. But I did a lot of research and found out that I've never had this happen to me before, so I didn't know until now that the alternator can power the car still, but it's just not sending the charge back to the battery. And so what it does is it drains the battery, or the battery gets drained from the start, and then it can't charge back up. But the battery will slowly, if you wait long enough, the car will start, because the battery can slowly charge itself with the chemical reactions that happen inside the battery. So yep. Okay, so the car's been sitting overnight. It did have a dead battery when I drove it home, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so it starts, and what's happening is, you can see I'm getting a good reading, and the problem is it's not sending a charge back to the battery. Okay, so now that the car's been running for a little bit, there's been no charge going back to the battery, so let's see what happens. Okay. The point was, I wanted you to, I know that belt is squeaking, but the point is, I wanted you to hear how that battery was lagging, because I've started the car like 4 times now. And every time I start it, I take some from that battery, and the alternator is not putting back. That's the point I want to get across with this video. Okay, for me to get that alternator out, the first thing I'm doing is I disconnected the battery. I always do that anytime I do any kind of work. And then I need to disconnect this right back there. That's how the power is to the alternator. Okay, so I now realize that if I disconnect that, I'll probably drop this nut and washer. So I think I'm just going to leave it attached and for now, and take this bolt out here, and then loosen up that one. Okay, so now that I have that bolt loose, I'm going to loosen this top one on that sliding bracket. Okay, and now with that being loose, you probably saw how this moves. Now I can take the belt off. Okay, and now I just need to take this bolt off and this bolt out, and then the whole assembly will come off, and I'll disconnect the electric. Okay, so now that I've got the alternator out of there, I can disconnect the wire a lot more easily and not lose this. All right, there, that's what I wanted. All right, got that off there. see that it just comes off there like that. All right. And now the alternator is out.
1 week later.
Okay, so it's been about a week later, just because I've been busy in my personal life with different things, but I have the new alternator, okay, and my battery is still disconnected. Here is the information on the alternator. You can pause the video at any time to see any of this, and here, this is if you're interested. Here's its part number. You have to check. It's alternators are not one size fits all. You have to check. Auto stores will let you know. So just confirm you get the right alternator. It's not a one size fits all. Okay. All right. So let's get this dude installed. Okay. Because my battery is disconnected, can't stress that enough. I can go ahead and hook this up. And I'm sorry, it's just me today, and I can't jimmy my camera on the stand. If you bear with me, I'll show. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hook up the from the this wire here from the alternator is ultimately this wire connected to the positive to the battery. So I'm just going to hook that up since the battery is disconnected, so I don't have to try to reach around later. So I'm going to do that. Okay. So there's that. And it's important to put this rubber boot back on. You don't want any kind of connection between this and like where it sits, like the head here of the motor. You don't want that to touch anything. So it's important to get that rubber boot back on. And now I'm just going to take that and feed it through here. And then I'll be right back with you to show you. Okay, so I ran that through there. Through the bottom of the alternator, and it's loose. So I'm just going to pivot this up and have it catch underneath there. Let me set the camera down. I'm sorry, I don't have my wife here. Usually films me making this stuff, but let me get this. Let me use both my hands. Okay, so I kind of have a unique situation. The previous owner of this car, and I thought about taking that off, but I wasn't sure why this is on here, this wire. It's kind of keeping it bound up. So I'm going to cut this wire off here. I mean, I guess, you know, he thought maybe it'd stop this arm from rocking, but it's plenty stable. So I'm going to cut that off, and then we'll get this alternator in place here. Okay, so I ended up snipping that wire. That's something you probably won't have on yours. So if you see right there, see that screw hole right there? I'm going to put that in there, through there, like this. Now, just as a side note, some alternators have a washer that sits behind here and in front of here, but this bolt head has a built-in washer, and there's a built-in washer behind here. But just be aware that some alternators have a two-washer system. One that sits on this side of the sway arm, and one that sits on that side of the adjustment arm, I meant. Okay, so here you can see the belt down there, and I'm making sure it picks up this fan, crankshaft, and then right around there like that. And I'm going to pull this nice and taut and tighten up that bolt. Okay, so with this, I want that belt pretty taut. Let me see here. I'll try to show like how. This is a new belt, so I'm going to drive it a little bit and check on it because the belt will stretch a little bit. But I've got to tighten this back down, that's nice and tight, and then I'm going to hook up the battery. Okay, so now that the alternator's on there and the belt's tight, I'm going to connect the battery and I'm going to do it in reverse order. I'm going to put the positive on first. Spin that around. There. And then after I get that tightened down, I'll do the negative next. But you want to make sure there's no corrosion or anything like that. I don't have any of that, so I'm going to do the positive, and then I'm going to connect the negative to get this bad boy back together. Okay, so the new alternator is in. I'm really happy with how it looks, and yeah, there it is. Problem solved. It sends a charge back to the battery when it runs, and so the belt's holding nice and taut, so that's good. And that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, and this isn't really a how-to. This is just how I did it, and so you can do it however you choose or however you need to, or whatever alternator you need for your specific car. Check with the automotive parts dealership. But thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.